Hi, I'm Greg Stanley. I'm here with Wes Warren. We're with Whitehall Management. Today, we want to talk about online marketing companies exposed. And just a thought on why we would comment on this is that Wes and I, Dr. Peterson, we work hard day and night to help offices get ready for new patients. And so we have the systems in place, the scripts, everybody's trained, motivated, bonus. And when we drop a new patient into that system, it's going to work. It's going to work well. Whenever we get a marketing company who starts saying things like, your people don't know how to handle new patients, or they're not answering the phone right, unless they have that recorded, we're pretty clear there's a problem with them. So Wes, let's talk about some of the things, some of the problems we run into in working with these people.
Over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've had a lot of different clients try a lot of different marketing companies with varying degrees of success, and quite frankly, not very good success. Some of the things that I spot is just you're dealing with flunkies, if you will, in terms of your contact point, and the person that manages your marketing is not a guru, so to speak. It's a flunky. It's not even the B team, it's the C team. And I would expect that they're running into the same problems our dentists have with finding trained staff, finding good people. They're dealing with the same problem. But that leads to a problem for you, the doctor. And this is what I've experienced, is varying degrees of success, not knowing how to set up just AdWords correctly, using the wrong AdWords, not watching the results, and just kind of letting it drift and not perform. I've had people get all kinds of dog and pony shows, being sold things that aren't impactful in getting results. So I'll see, I'll see somebody go off to a new company, and all of a sudden they're talking about all kinds of different things like social media management, local search management, and all these weird add-ons. I'm sure you can trace a new patient or two to those things. I'm not saying that they don't work, but I'm saying that they don't work, basically. And what happens is they get dogpiled with a bunch of different little features and add-ons, and most of their budget's being eat up on stuff that is not going to drive new patient flow. So constantly having to coach people on that, Greg, to stick with the pay-per-click. Don't do any redirect stuff. Just pay Google pay-per-clicks, get them to manage that. And I've had to do revision after revision of search words. This is something that they should know. An expert would be able to set this up in 2 seconds. But I'm constantly having to do this myself with the marketing company, with my client on the phone, basically do the flunky's job for them over and over and over again. So I'm not seeing a consistent winner out there anymore. There are a few still. So if you'd like to know names of people that we recommend, there are a couple. But the vast majority are providing a weak service. Unless you know what you're doing, they give you weak results. So that's what I'm seeing out there.
Let's talk about this. Like yourself, I work with these people every day. And one of the first problems that comes up kind of tips you off that you're dealing with one of these people you're talking about, like the representative of the guy who, put the company together, so forth. They start getting calls from out of state or from out of the area of their practice. That's a red flag. You're dealing, and if they tell you, well, that's how it works, you're dealing with the B team. So can they get you more patients? Can they get you better patients? They really have to do both. Make no mistake. So when you talk to them about that and they go, oh yeah, we can do that, well, ask them, how are you going to do it? What are you going to do to make sure these patients are a good fit for my practice? The other thing, we see practices flooded with Medicaid and things that they're not really looking, oh, maybe do something with them, but they don't want to pay a bunch of money to get them through the door. So that's another red flag.
Well, that's a good point, is asking them specifically, how many patients should I anticipate with X budget? And really pin them down on that. And when they will not give you an answer, or at least a general, look, you should expect 10 to 12, 10 to 15. If they can't give you that kind of answers, it's an indication that you're dealing with the B team, or that the company doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, a lot of people think this is so easy. They all just go into this business. Another tip off, Wes, that I see is you buy this service. They always got a downstroke. You got a 5,000, 10,000, whatever it happens to be. And then when the results don't show up, then they blame your website. We've got to redo your website. That's another 5,000 and another 2 months of you paying some minimum amount, 2,000, 3,000. And while all of a sudden you realize 3 months have gone by, I haven't got a call, or I just got calls from the people that aren't even prospective patients. So just some guidance for you. People who have their act together can typically get the phone to ring within a week. You're getting calls, and it might take them another week to tune up those calls. But if they're focused on your practice, that's about what we're looking at. One of the oldest tricks in marketing, and though I wasn't a marketing person, I always thought I could be because I knew the tricks. All you have to do is say, this takes 6 months, this takes a year, it's going to work over time. 2 years from now, somebody's going to stumble through the door. You're going to realize it just took that long. And I might add, and that much money. So somebody who has to redo your website, a lot of times that's just like a game of tag, you're it. They throw the ball back in your court. Well, we're waiting for copy about your website. We've been waiting for 3 weeks. And here you are paying, not getting phone calls. This is a bad, bad sign.
Yeah, huge upfront fees. Definitely a red flag. We run into that. And then also contracts, long-term contracts. I don't mind 3 months, 4 months. But when they're trying to tie you in for 6 months or a year, that's another bad sign. Because they know they can't deliver, or certainly consistently deliver, and that they need the security of the contract.
Learn on your
keep you paying, basically. Yeah. So
okay, another one. There's a few of them that are pretty good. They kind of understand the underpinning dynamic of the thing, and they can make the phone ring, and they can do a good job. The problem is, in truth, a lot of it is labor intensive. And so as they get more clients, they turn their attention away from you. You're still paying, and now your calls start to fall off. Or you'll find them scrambling around and pushing a bunch of calls to your office the 3 days from the end of the month, and you can't even make that work for yourself. So they're good at first, but as they get busy and successful, they don't spend the time with your account. This is one of the main complaints I have. I see it in the handful that can make it work. This tends to be what happens.
Yeah, if it goes sideways and it stops working, that's typically what happens. Usually you can become the squeaky wheel and get the oil. And so by speaking up very quickly, as far as my leads dried up, they'll send somebody in to look at your account and see, oh, well, we got to change the algorithm a little bit, and they can get it back on track. But over time, it can get so bad that you're thinking about switching is what happens. And you get wooed by a new company. What I'm seeing out there is 80% garbage.
This is into the more sophisticated areas. Some of our doctors are really looking to pay good money for high-end patients. TMJ, implants, all on 6, all of these things. And you really have to have a sharp staff to survive this. If the staff is not good on the phone, the cost of this goes well over what you're going to net off this patient. So you want to have that nailed down, of course. But if the marketing company isn't seasoned, I mean, they don't really know their stuff, this is an area they're going to fall really flat. You'll get a few calls from people outside your area, Medicaid patients, et cetera, and you're looking for people to come in and spend $20,000 or $30,000. Those kind of cases cost substantial amounts of money to generate, and you've got to be able to handle them. So be upfront, be clear. This is what I'm looking for. Again, even this will happen quickly. You don't have to wait 6 months to make this work. And if they say to you, well, we got to redo your website. You say, well, okay, you got a week, redo my website. It's going to be 5,000, or well, I'll give you 2,000. Well, redo my website, so I've got a landing page that works for this thing. You got to have some idea of what you're supposed to be paying. And I might add, if they don't know the cost of making a dental office's phone ring, they are learning on your dime. They might have made it in auto shop repair or craft shops or something, but they're learning dentistry on your dollar. So ask them, what am I going to be spending per phone call?
And yeah, they'll call them leads sometimes, so per lead is what they'll call them. But yeah, you got to pin them down on what the expectations are there. Yeah, for sure. I can tell you a story, Greg. I had one company that was really consistent. It was inexpensive, so it wasn't a high end. They weren't delivering massive amounts of leads, but if you wanted to have a small budget and do okay, they were a good source to do that and to provide that service. Then all of a sudden they just went off the rails. I don't know if they got a new CEO or something like that, and they changed, and you had to go through this laborious sales process, and they jacked up all the fees, and nobody could tell you anything in terms of expectation and dollar amounts per new page. None of that stuff. All that stuff was gone. So all of a sudden, these companies can change drastically overnight. And these are big, a lot of them are big companies. And so, yeah, they get a different vision, different CEO, and boom, all of a sudden you're dealing with a whole different level of results with the same company.
One of their, they have a bag of tricks they refer to that they fall back on, like telling you it's going to be 6 months before you get it. It starts to work. You just got to be patient, pay more money, or you're not spending enough. That's another one of your big ones. And they really like to blame your team. That's why you want to hear recorded phone calls. If they're not recording phone calls and they say it's your team, it's just your word against theirs. It's not, that's not productive. So blaming your team is another one of their tricks.
Yeah, they'll count leads, Medicare patients as leads, and they'll get you 50 of those. And these people literally are looking for a free clinic. And they'll be, we provided you all these leads, and they're not real. They're not real patients,
The truth is, you have to know enough to actually pick the right company and hold their feet to the fire.
That's right.
Or you become a victim of this. Now, we're making this sound like they're kind of shifty and without ethics, but the truth is, they saw somebody do this, or they heard about it, and they thought, that can't be that hard. Anybody can do this. And so they try it, and they've kind of, like I said, they're learning on your ticket, and they're learning as they go, and they'll certainly be better with the next client after you. But if you know the right questions to ask, and you should be able to call them up and really bring into question their effectiveness in 1 week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they say, well, we've got to redo your website, we'll do it at our expense. Well, that's fine. How long is that going to take? Get your deadlines, hold them to the deadlines. Here's the good news. When you get a good marketing company, they can feed the people to you at $150 to $200 a patient. That is per phone call. You got great staff, that's the cost, $150, $200. People come in, spend $800 to $2,000, it all works out. So know what you're doing and make sure they know what they're doing.
So if you're right now listening to this and wondering, geez, I don't know if I got a good company, bad company, or if you're looking at a company and you want our advice, please schedule a phone call. We won't charge you for this, and tell us about what you're dealing with, and we can point you in the right direction and give you the questions to ask the representatives that you're dealing with at these companies, and give you good guidance so that you get the best possible results.
You know, another tip off, Wes, another red flag. If they don't ask you about your Google reviews, or if they're happy with reviews that aren't from Google or Yelp, that's another pretty good sign they're learning as they go.
Yeah.
So I think that's good advice, Wes. Give us a call and we'll help you evaluate the things you've heard from your existing marketing people, or send you in the direction of somebody who's shown results with our clientele. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening.